കുര്യൻജി നിങ്ങൾ മ്യൂട്ടിലാണ്.
നമസ്കാരം. കുറച്ച് ആഴ്ചകൾക്ക് ശേഷം വീണ്ടും നമ്മുടെ ഈ ഡോക്ടർ ലൈവിലേക്ക് വരുവാനും നിങ്ങളോടൊത്ത് പങ്കുചേരുവാനും സാധിച്ചതിൽ ആദ്യമേ ജഗദീശ്വരനോട് നന്ദി പറയുന്നു. കഴിഞ്ഞ കുറച്ച് ആഴ്ചകളായിട്ട് ചെറിയൊരു ആക്സിഡന്റ് പറ്റി ഞാൻ പങ്കെടുക്കാൻ പറ്റിയില്ല. എന്നാൽ പൂർണ്ണാരോഗ്യവാനായിട്ട് വീണ്ടും ഇന്ന് ഈ മീറ്റിങ്ങിൽ പങ്കെടുക്കാൻ സാധിക്കുന്നു എന്നുള്ളത് ഒരു ഭാഗ്യമായിട്ട് ഞാൻ കരുതുകയാണ്. സമാജത്തിൻ്റെ 32ാമത്തെ ഡോക്ടർ ലൈവാണ് ഇന്നിവിടെ നടക്കുന്നത്. നിങ്ങൾക്കറിയാം, കഴിഞ്ഞ 32 ആഴ്ചകളായിട്ട് നമ്മൾ കേരളത്തിൻ്റെ വിവിധ ഭാഗങ്ങളിൽ നിന്നും ലോകത്തിൻ്റെ വിവിധ ഭാഗങ്ങളിൽ നിന്നുമുള്ള അതിപ്രഗത്ഭരായ ഡോക്ടർമാരെ കൊണ്ടുവന്ന് നമ്മുടെ അറിവിനെ, നമ്മുടെ ശാസ്ത്രം, നമ്മുടെ മരുന്നുകളെ സംബന്ധിച്ചുള്ള ഈ കൊറോണ സമയത്ത് നമ്മൾ എങ്ങനെ പ്രിപ്പയർ ആകണം, എന്തൊക്കെയാണ് ആവശ്യങ്ങൾ, അതുപോലെ പല കാര്യങ്ങളെ പറ്റിയുമുള്ള നമുക്ക് അറിവില്ലാഞ്ഞ അല്ല നമുക്ക് അറിയാൻ വയ്യാത്ത പല കാര്യങ്ങളും നമുക്ക് പ്രഗത്ഭരായ പല ഡോക്ടർമാരിൽ നിന്ന് കേൾക്കുവാനും അറിവുകൾ സമ്പാദിക്കുവാനും സാധിച്ചിട്ടുണ്ട്. അതൊരു വലിയ പാഠപുസ്തകം പോലെ ഇപ്പോഴും സമാജത്തിൻ്റെ ഫേസ്ബുക്ക് വഴിയും യൂട്യൂബ് വഴിയൊക്കെയും എല്ലാവർക്കും കാണുകയും കേൾക്കുകയും ഒക്കെ ചെയ്യത്തക്ക രീതിയിൽ അവൈലബിൾ ആയിട്ടുമുണ്ട്. ഈ കഴിഞ്ഞ 32 ആഴ്ച കാലത്തോളം സമാജത്തിൻ്റെ ഈ പ്രവർത്തനത്തെ പിന്തുണയ്ക്കുകയും സഹകരിക്കുകയും ഒക്കെ ചെയ്ത എല്ലാ നല്ലവരായ ആളുകൾക്കും, പ്രത്യേകിച്ച് സമാജത്തിൻ്റെ ഭാരവാഹികൾക്കും കമ്മിറ്റിക്കാർക്കും, അതിനുപരിയായിട്ട് നമ്മുടെ ഈ പരിപാടിക്ക് പ്രോത്സാഹനം തന്ന നല്ലവരായ മലയാളി സുഹൃത്തുക്കൾ എല്ലാവർക്കും, അതുപോലെ മറ്റ് സംഘടനകളുടെ നേതാക്കന്മാർക്കും എല്ലാവർക്കും ഈ അവസരത്തിൽ വളരെ ചുരുങ്ങിയ വാക്കിൽ ഞങ്ങളുടെ സ്നേഹം, ഞങ്ങളുടെ നന്ദി അറിയിക്കുകയാണ്. നിങ്ങൾക്ക് എല്ലാവർക്കും അറിയാം, ബ്രാൻഡ് മലയാളി സമാജം എപ്പോഴും എന്തെങ്കിലുമൊക്കെ കാര്യങ്ങൾ നല്ല രീതിയിൽ ചെയ്യണമെന്ന് ആഗ്രഹിക്കുകയും അതിൻ്റെ പ്രവർത്തനങ്ങളുമായിട്ട് വളരെ ശക്തമായിട്ട് എപ്പോഴും മുന്നോട്ട് പോവുകയും ചെയ്യുന്ന ഒരു പ്രസ്ഥാനമാണ്. നിങ്ങൾ നാളെ നിരത്തുന്ന എല്ലാ പിന്തുണയ്ക്കും സഹകരണത്തിനും സമാജത്തിൻ്റെ പ്രസിഡന്റ് എന്ന നിലയിൽ എൻ്റെ പ്രത്യേകമായ നന്ദി ഞാൻ ആദ്യമേ അർപ്പിച്ചുകൊള്ളുകയാണ്. ഈ 32ാമത്തെ ഡോക്ടർ ലൈവിൽ നമുക്ക് കിട്ടിയിരിക്കുന്നത് അതിപ്രസക്തനായ ഒരു ഡോക്ടറെയാണ്. ഇദ്ദേഹം ഒരു ഇന്ത്യൻ പ്രസിഡന്റിന്റെ അവാർഡ് ജേതാവായ ഒരു ഡോക്ടറാണ്. അദ്ദേഹത്തിൻ്റെ മേഖലയിൽ അദ്ദേഹം ഏറ്റവും പ്രമുഖനായ ഒരു ഡോക്ടറാണ്. അപ്പം ഇങ്ങനെയുള്ളൊരു ഡോക്ടറെ ഇന്ന് നമുക്ക് ഈ സന്ദർഭത്തിൽ ഇവിടെ കൊണ്ടുവരാനായിട്ട് സമാജത്തിനെ സഹായിച്ച ശ്രീ മുരളി പണിക്കർ, സമാജത്തിൻ്റെ വളരെ ആക്റ്റീവായ ഒരു പ്രവർത്തകനാണ്, നേതാവാണ്. അപ്പം മുരളി പണിക്കറുടെ പ്രത്യേകമായ താല്പര്യത്തിൽ ബഹുമാനപ്പെട്ട ഡോക്ടർ പ്രവീൺ കുമാറിനെ ഇന്നിവിടെ കൊണ്ടുവരാൻ സാധിച്ചു എന്നുള്ളത് ഞങ്ങളുടെ സമാജത്തിന് അഭിമാനകരമായ ഒരു നിമിഷമാണ്. ഇന്നിപ്പോൾ ഈ ഫേസ്ബുക്കിൽ ആൾക്കാർ ലൈവ് വാച്ച് ചെയ്യുമ്പോൾ അവർക്കത് കൂടുതൽ ബോധ്യപ്പെടും. അങ്ങനെ നമ്മുടെ 32ാമത്തെ ഡോക്ടർ ലൈവിൻ്റെ ആരംഭം ഇവിടെ തുടങ്ങുകയാണ്. ഇന്നത്തെ ഡോക്ടർ ലൈവിൽ നമുക്ക് സ്വാഗതം പറയാൻ എത്തിയിരിക്കുന്നത് സമാജത്തിൻ്റെ ജനറൽ സെക്രട്ടറി ശ്രീമതി ലതാ മേനോനാണ്. ലതാ മേനോനെ പ്രത്യേകിച്ച് പറയേണ്ട ആവശ്യമില്ല. കഴിഞ്ഞ 2-3 ആഴ്ചയായിട്ട് ഇച്ചിരി പ്രശ്നം എൻ്റെ ഭാഗത്ത് എനിക്കൊരു വയ്യായ്മ ഹോസ്പിറ്റലൊക്കെ ആയത് തന്നെ ഈ സമാജത്തിൻ്റെ ഈ പരിപാടി സ്വയം ഏറ്റെടുത്ത് അതിശക്തമായിട്ട് ഇവിടെ ഞാൻ പ്രസന്റ് ആയിരിക്കുന്ന സമയത്തിനേക്കാളും വളരെ പ്രഗത്ഭമായിട്ട് ആ ഡോക്ടർ ലൈവ് നടത്തുവാനുള്ള നേതൃത്വം, ഉത്തരവാദിത്വം അത് കാണിച്ചു എന്നുള്ളത് ലതാ മാഡത്തിന് വേണ്ടി പ്രത്യേകം, അതുപോലെ പുന്നശ്ശേരി, ഷിബു, നമ്മുടെ ബിനു, ഇതിലെല്ലാം ഉപരിയായിട്ട് സഞ്ജയ്, യോഗേഷ്, ഷീല പുതുക്കേരിൽ തുടങ്ങിയ എല്ലാ കമ്മിറ്റിക്കാരും എല്ലാവരും, മുരളിപ്പണിക്കർ എല്ലാവരും, ഡേവിസ് തുടങ്ങിയ എല്ലാ കമ്മിറ്റിക്കാരും നമുക്ക് ഇത് ഒരു മുടക്കവും വരരുത് എന്നുള്ള ദൃഢനിശ്ചയത്തോടുകൂടി മാഡത്തോടൊപ്പം ചേർന്ന് ഈ പരിപാടിയെ വൻ വിജയമാക്കി. കഴിഞ്ഞ ആഴ്ചകളിലെ ക്ലാസ്സുകളൊക്കെ ശരിക്കും ഞാൻ ഹോസ്പിറ്റലിൽ കിടന്ന് കണ്ടു. വളരെ നല്ല ക്ലാസ്സുകളും വളരെ നല്ല കോർഡിനേഷനുമായിരുന്നു. താങ്ക് യു സോ മച്ച് ഫോർ ഓൾ മൈ ടീം. ആൻഡ് റൈറ്റ് നൗ ഐ എം ഇൻവൈറ്റിംഗ് Lada Menon. Lada Menon is a lawyer and a barrister, and inviting Lada Menon, സമാജത്തിൻ്റെ ജനറൽ സെക്രട്ടറിയാണ്, ആദരപൂർവ്വം സ്നേഹപൂർവ്വം ഇന്നത്തെ ഡോക്ടർ ലൈവിൻ്റെ വെൽക്കം സ്പീച്ചിനായി ക്ഷണിച്ചുകൊള്ളുന്നു.
Namaskaram. Thank you so much for the kind words, കുര്യൻജീനെ അവിടെ കാണുമ്പോൾ തന്നെ നമുക്ക് എല്ലാവർക്കും ഒരു സന്തോഷമാണ്. ആ ഒരു ലീഡർഷിപ്പിന്റെ ബാക്ക് ബോൺ ഓഫ് ഓൾ ദിസ് ഡോക്ടർ ലൈവിന്റെ ഇത്രയും 32ാമത്തെ സെഷൻ എത്തുന്നവരിക്കും ഇതിന്റെ ഈവൻ ദോ ഹീസ് നോട്ട് ദെയർ, കുര്യൻ ഇല്ല, നമ്മളെ 2-3 സെഷൻസിൽ നമ്മൾ ഇല്ലാഞ്ഞുകൊണ്ടും ആ ഒരു പോസിറ്റീവ് എനർജി കൊടുക്കുന്നത്, ഞാൻ കുര്യന് ഒരു ഇലക്ട്രിക് എനർജി കൊടുക്കുന്ന ഒരാളെയാണ് ഞാൻ കരുതുന്നത്. ആൻഡ് ഹി ഈസ് എ ലോട്ട് ഓഫ് പിന്നിൽ അവിടെ ഇരുന്നിട്ടും അതിന്റെ അവിടെ even though he was in very sick and he was in the hospital, he made sure that our program went on very well, and he made everybody of us our support. ഇത്രയും എനിക്ക് ഇപ്പൊ കുര്യൻ പറഞ്ഞത് അതിന്റെ എല്ലാം പിന്നില് it is all support of കുര്യൻ പ്രകാരം. He is our leader and he was the backbone for ഈ BMSന്റെ ഇത്രയ്ക്കും മുന്നോട്ട് കൊണ്ടുവരുന്ന ഡോക്ടർ ലൈവിന്റെ ഇത്രയും സക്സസ്. And many people all over the world, ഇന്ത്യയിലും ഓസ്ട്രേലിയയിലും ന്യൂസിലൻഡിലും എല്ലാം ഇറ്റലിയിലും എല്ലാവരും ഈ ഡോക്ടർ സെഷൻസ് പാർട്ടിസിപ്പേറ്റ് ചെയ്തെന്നും അതിന്റെ എല്ലാം ആ ഒരു മോട്ടിവേഷനും ആ സപ്പോർട്ടും നമ്മളെ കുര്യൻജിക്കാണ് അത് കൊടുക്കേണ്ടത്. സോ ദ ക്രെഡിറ്റ് ഷുഡ് ഗോ ടു കുര്യൻജി. എനിവേ, thank you so much for giving me an opportunity to welcome all of you all. In the good morning, namaskaram, and today for the welcome to the 32 Dr. Live session of BMS. So let's start with our today the special guest today will be our Sinu MP, and he is the president of Toronto Social Club, and he is also the secretary of the Canada Pravasi Kerala Congress, and he is an active person. And thank you for all your support. We are welcome you to be, and today itrayum korchu samayathinulli you accepted our invitation. BMS through we have giving you thank you so much from ours, and great support for you to contribute towards BMS. Next നമ്മൾ പറഞ്ഞു വരുന്നത് ഇന്നത്തെ അവരുടെ മെയിൻ പേഴ്സൺ is our Dr.A.C Praveen Kumar, Colonel retired VSMP, physician, medical and a gastroenterologist. At present is a professor in medical gastroenterology in Medical College. Served in armed forces medical services for 25 years and was awarded the Vishishta Seva Medal by the President of India for his distinguished services in armed forces. So we welcome you, Doctor, for today's Dr. Live. We are all looking forward for your informative sessions today. And welcome on behalf of the BMS and all the members of the BMS and all the participants who are present today. We really welcome to you. Namaskar. And then we have, there is very little words if I do not mention about Kurien Prakanam today. Kurien Prakanam is also the president of the BMS, and he's the backbone for today's Dr. Live, as I already mentioned earlier. So we don't need any more introductions of him, because he is a great leader and a great motivation supporter also. So we are welcoming Kurien to be here, and we are very happy that God has given him that good health and he has come back today. So that's an inspiration to all of us. And then we are looking forward. So adhigam nan samayam edukkunnilla, because I wanted doctor to come forward, and we are looking forward for this informative sessions. Thank you so much, doctor. Nanni namaskaram.
നെക്സ്റ്റ് ആയിട്ട് നമ്മുടെ സ്പെഷ്യൽ ഗസ്റ്റ് ആയിട്ടുള്ള സിനു ആണ്. സിനുവിനെ നിങ്ങൾക്കാർക്കും പരിചയപ്പെടുത്തേണ്ട ആവശ്യമില്ല. സിനു ടൊറന്റോയിലെ ഏറ്റവും അറിയപ്പെടുന്ന ഒരു സാമൂഹിക പ്രവർത്തകനാണ്. ഇവിടെ വടംവലി ഉൾപ്പെടെയുള്ള കാര്യങ്ങൾ ചെയ്ത് നമ്മുടെ മലയാളികളുടെ മനസ്സിനെ നല്ല നല്ല രീതിയിലുള്ള നമ്മുടെ പഴയ കാലത്തേക്ക് കൂട്ടിക്കൊണ്ട് പോകുന്ന കാര്യങ്ങളൊക്കെ ചെയ്യുന്ന ഒരു വലിയ നേതാവാണ്. അപ്പം സിനു ടൊറന്റോ സോഷ്യൽ ക്ലബിന്റെ പ്രസിഡന്റാണ്. അതുപോലെ രാഷ്ട്രീയപരമായിട്ടും വളരെ ഇവിടെ ആയിപ്പോയില്ലായിരുന്നെങ്കിൽ പക്ഷേ MPയോ MLA ഒക്കെ ആകേണ്ടുന്ന ആളാണ് അദ്ദേഹം. രാഷ്ട്രീയ കേരള കോൺഗ്രസിന്റെ ഒരു വലിയ പ്രവർത്തകനാണ്. അപ്പം അതിലുപരിയായിട്ട് നമുക്ക് ഇവിടെ ലോക്കൽ നമ്മുടെ മലയാളി കമ്മ്യൂണിറ്റിയിൽ വളരെ ആക്റ്റീവായിട്ട് ഇന്ന് എല്ലാ കാര്യങ്ങളും സപ്പോർട്ട്. സിനുവിന്റെ ഗുണം പറയുമ്പോൾ സിനു നമ്മൾ ഇന്ന ക്ലബ്ബോ അല്ലെ ഇന്ന അസോസിയേഷൻ എന്നുള്ള വേറൊരുത്തിയില്ലാതെ വള്ളംകളി വിളിച്ചാലും എന്ത് പരിപാടി വിളിച്ചാലും സിനു എപ്പോഴും അതിന്റെ മുൻനിരയിൽ നമ്മുടെ കൂടെ തന്നെ അതിന്റെ ഒരു സംഘാടകനായിട്ട് തന്നെ പോകണം. പല വള്ളംകളിക്കും ശ്രദ്ധിച്ചിട്ടുണ്ട്. പലപ്പോഴും വന്നിങ്ങനെ ഗസ്റ്റായിട്ടൊക്കെ മാറി നിൽക്കുമ്പോഴും സിനു അതെന്തുകൊണ്ട് ഏട്ടാ അങ്ങനെ കാര്യങ്ങളും ആ ലെവലിൽ നമ്മളോട് കൂടുതൽ അടുത്ത് ഇന്ന് സംസാരിക്കുകയും പ്രവർത്തിക്കുകയും ചെയ്യാൻ താല്പര്യപ്പെടുന്ന വ്യക്തിത്വമാണ്. പ്രത്യേകമായിട്ട് സിനുവിനെ ഇന്ന് വിളിച്ച് വന്നതിലുള്ള നന്ദി രേഖപ്പെടുത്തുന്നു. സിനുവിനെ അടുത്തായിട്ട് ആശംസാ പ്രസംഗത്തിനെ ക്ഷണിച്ചോളൂ.
ഏറ്റവും സ്നേഹം നിറഞ്ഞ ബ്രാഹ്മണൻ മലയാളി സമാജത്തിന്റെ പ്രസിഡന്റ് ശ്രീ കുര്യൻ പ്രക്കാനം, അതോടൊപ്പം നമ്മുടെ ഇന്നത്തെ ഡോക്ടർ ലൈവിന്റെ മുഖ്യ അതിഥി ഡോക്ടർ.A.C പ്രവീൺ കുമാർ, പ്രിയപ്പെട്ട ലതാ മേനോൻ, സഞ്ജയ് മോഹൻ, മറ്റ് ബ്രാഹ്മണൻ മലയാളി സമാജത്തിന്റെ മറ്റു ഭാരവാഹികളെ, വളരെയധികം സന്തോഷമുണ്ട്. ഇന്ന് ഈ പരിപാടിയിലേക്ക് എന്നെ ക്ഷണിച്ചതിന് പ്രത്യേകമായി നിങ്ങൾക്ക് ഓരോരുത്തർക്കും നന്ദി അർപ്പിക്കുന്നു. ഇത് ശരിക്കും പറഞ്ഞാൽ ഒരു റെക്കോർഡാണ്. ഈ ഒരു 32 എപ്പിസോഡൊക്കെ ഇവിടെ ഇങ്ങനെ നടത്തിക്കൊണ്ട് പോകുക എന്ന് പറഞ്ഞാൽ നമ്മുടെ ഇവിടുത്തെ പ്രത്യേക സാഹചര്യത്തിൽ നമുക്കറിയാം, എല്ലാവരും ജോലിയുടെ തിരക്കുകളുണ്ട്, എല്ലാം ഉണ്ട്. അതിനിടയ്ക്കും ഇത്രയും മനോഹരമായ രീതിയിൽ, അതും ജനോപകാരപ്രദമായ രീതിയിൽ തന്നെയുള്ള ഒരു പ്രോഗ്രാമാണ്. ജനങ്ങളെ ആരോഗ്യ മേഖലയിൽ ഒരുപാട് പ്രയോജനം ചെയ്യപ്പെടുന്ന ഒരു പരിപാടിയാണ് ഈ ഡോക്ടർ ലൈവ്. ഇതിന് നേതൃത്വം നൽകുന്ന ശ്രീ കുര്യൻ പ്രക്കാനത്തിന്റെ നേതൃത്വത്തിൽ, നമുക്കറിയാം ഇവിടുത്തെ മലയാളി സംഘടനകളുടെ എല്ലാം കോർഡിനേറ്ററാണ് ശ്രീ കുര്യൻ പ്രക്കാനം. അദ്ദേഹത്തിന്റെ നേതൃത്വത്തിൽ എനിക്ക് തോന്നുന്ന ഈ കൊറോണ കാലഘട്ടത്തിൽ ആളുകൾക്ക് ഏറ്റവും പ്രയോജനപ്രദമായ രീതിയിലുള്ള ഒരു പ്രോഗ്രാം നടത്തിയത് ബ്രാഹ്മണൻ മലയാളി സമാജമാണ്. ഈ ശ്രീ കുര്യൻ പ്രക്കാനത്തിന്റെ നേതൃത്വത്തിൽ നടത്തിയ ഈ എപ്പിസോഡിന് എനിക്ക് തോന്നുന്നത് ഇപ്പൊ 32ാമത്തെ എപ്പിസോഡാണ്. നമുക്കൊരു 1, 2, 3 അതിൽ കൂടുതലൊന്നും ഇവിടെ ഒരു സംഘടനയ്ക്കും മുന്നോട്ട് കൊണ്ടുപോകാൻ സാധിക്കത്തില്ല. അപ്പോൾ അതിനെ കണ്ടിന്യൂസ് ആയിട്ട് 32 എപ്പിസോഡ് നടത്തുവാൻ സാധിച്ച് നിങ്ങളെ ഓരോരുത്തരെയും കൂട്ടായ പരിശ്രമമാണ്. അതിന് നേതൃത്വം നൽകിയ ശ്രീ കുര്യൻ പ്രക്കാനത്തിനെ പോലുള്ള ലീഡർഷിപ്പിന്റെ ഒരു ഗുണം കൂടിയാണ്. അപ്പം ഒരിക്കൽ കൂടി എല്ലാവർക്കും എല്ലാവിധ ആശംസകൾ അർപ്പിക്കുന്നു. തുടർന്നും ഈ പ്രോഗ്രാം കോവിഡ് കാലഘട്ടത്തിന് ശേഷം ഈ പ്രോഗ്രാം മുൻപോട്ട് പോകട്ടെ എന്ന് ആശംസിക്കുന്നു. നന്ദി, നമസ്കാരം.
താങ്ക് യു സിനു. അടുത്തതായിട്ട് നമ്മുടെ ആദരണീയ ഡോക്ടറെ ഇന്നത്തെ ക്ലാസ് എടുക്കാനായിട്ട് ക്ഷണിച്ചോളുന്നു.
ഡോക്ടർ മ്യൂട്ടാന്ന് തോന്നുന്നു.
ഡോക്ടർ മ്യൂട്ടാ. മ്യൂട്ടാണ് ഡോക്ടറെ.
Can you hear me?
Yeah. Yes.
Well, it's a beautiful Saturday evening in India. Sunny morning in Canada. I can make out from the background. So good morning to all of you. And I thank each one of you for having invited me for this talk on a common day-to-day issue. I especially thank my assistant. I always call him my assistant, Murli. No, we tagged on very well in the Navy because of his beautiful write-ups. He had a wonderful way of taking my dictation, and he was responsible for me to publish various medical articles. Even today, I miss him. And if I had a steno like him, probably I would have published about 150 more papers today. He had a beautiful way of interpreting whatever I told him. Murli decided to, I was also a very cricket addict. So Murli was very weak in cricket, and I remember in 1997, he was the weakest member of our hospital team. So I had no other choice except to send him in the 9th down. And Murli, with his hockey stick type of legs, would ask me, "Sir, what do I do? 2 runs to win." So I will just tell Murli that put your hockey stick in front and then run, and we will win the match. So that's the cricketing experience I have with him. But as a colleague, he was extraordinary. And we wrote many articles, which I have even today preserved because of his workmanship. Well, once again, I thank you all, and then I begin my series on a sensitive gut. We label it as irritable bowel syndrome all over the world. All of us have a sensitive gut. And you all should remember that it is a kind of a disease by exclusion. Not every person who comes with the symptoms which I'm going to mention is irritable. You eliminate few things before we label him as a case of irritable bowel syndrome. 80% of our medical practice is irritable bowel syndrome. And in a country like Canada, when I read the literature, it says about 25 to 30% of you have this entity, and even in the West. In India, it's almost about 30 to 40%. And with the advent of all Western diet, it has become much more. Surprisingly, the incidence of irritable bowel syndrome in a state like Kerala is the least, because they still practice the traditional dietary custom, which I very much appreciate. Unlike the other states, they have not got into the habit of following the Westerners. My two daughters are about 42 years now, and they stuck to a traditional Kerala diet right from 3 months onwards. Thanks to my wife, who came from that part of the state with all traditional values. And as a doctor, I can tell you proudly that I never gave them any drug till today, because of the beautiful dietary program which she gave them till they left home after their marriage. So I'm proud of that state where they have beautiful values as far as food is concerned. Best example I can give you is the parboiled rice, which has a least irritable bowel property. Now, as a doctor, if I talk about diet, I can go on for hours. So I thought I'll combine what patients come to us and what we do as doctors to label it as irritable bowel syndrome. The first set of patients we have is pain, irrespective of the age. Obviously, middle-aged, less than middle-aged teenagers, they come with pain. This is one of the important component of irritable bowel syndrome. The predominant problem is pain. Patients are worried, parents are worried, the relatives are worried, and their efficiency goes down. They are in front of the clinic with pain. The second set of patients is they come with constipation, passing hard stool. They cannot evacuate. Our Indian culture is wherever we go, wherever we settle down, our ancestors taught us that first thing in the morning is we must evacuate our bowels. And I'm sure you are conveying the same to your children and the younger generation. So the second set is constipation. They don't pass motion. Maybe 1 day, 2 days, 3 days, and they pass a lumpy stool. The next group is diarrhea. Painless, watery, non-bloody diarrhea. Very difficult situation. And the diarrhea, which is very characteristic in irritable bowel syndrome, is they have diarrhea before noon, 4 to 5, and afternoon they are very comfortable. They get into the car and they come back to the bathroom saying that I have to evacuate. They're getting to a school bus, diarrhea, come back, miss the school bus. Fortunately, they don't have problems in the night. They have a good sleep. So this is the next set of patients. Then we have a problem in the next set of patients where all three combine: pain, diarrhea, constipation. So when patients come to us with all three combined together, it's difficult for us as doctors and gastroenterologists to sort out this issue. Because if I treat for constipation, the diarrhea gets aggravated. If I treat diarrhea, the constipation gets aggravated. And if I treat both, the pain gets aggravated. So I have to be very careful in managing them. Now, this is how the patients of irritable bowel syndrome come to us. And my diet will be based on this history. As I told you in the beginning, when I diagnose it as irritable bowel syndrome, it's a diagnosis of exclusion. I'll give you the examples. It's easy to label somebody as irritable bowel and give a prescription and say no. But we have a problem. We have parallelly patients going with various problems. For example, we have patients who come with a bloody diarrhea, passing blood in this motion, which is mixed with motion. Well, this is like in olden days, a railway guard would take a red flag and wave at the engine driver. So this is a red flag sign. So any patient passing blood in the motion is a dangerous situation. One has to look carefully into why so-and-so is passing blood. Well, in the West, you have a lot of inflammatory bowel disease. I'm sure most of you have heard an entity called as ulcerative colitis or Crohn's disease. Fortunately, we don't see much in our developing countries, but still nowadays we are facing this problem, but it all came from the white population. Well, in addition to bloody diarrheas, these people have non-intestinal manifestations like mouth ulcers and joint pains. So we have to be careful when patients come with these symptoms. Well, we Asians, Black population, more than 90% are deficient of an enzyme which dissolves milk. Milk contains a carbohydrate called as lactose. For all of us to digest it, ever since we start sucking our mother's breast milk, we need something to break this lactose, what is called as a lactase. I was surprised when I became a gastroenterologist to understand that 90% of us are deficient of lactase. So we cannot tolerate milk like the white population. So we have a lot of children who come with symptoms of IBS. We have a lot of teenagers who come with symptoms of IBS. And a lot of us, when we are young, we prescribe a drug blindly without going into the history. Simple history from the mothers or the relatives. Milk produces diarrhea. My child has diarrhea whenever I give milk. So this is a thing which should never be missed, even in the non-medical population. Well, coming to the other extreme, we have newborn children who have diarrhea. They are not only not able to digest milk because of lactase deficiency, but there could be a milk allergy. So if you have a newborn child who's developing rash, skin problems, joint problems, a lot of crying in the night, the moment child has breast milk, keep in mind as a non-medical personnel, am I dealing with a kind of milk allergy? Don't miss out. Because this history, when you come to the doctor, has to be given. Sometimes we are busy, we take it for granted. We may not ask you certain direct questions. So do remember this point. Instead of just labeling as patient, a child is allergic to milk, stop giving milk. Then an important entity called as wheat allergy. All of us consume wheat, rye, and barley. This disease is called a celiac disease. I'm sure many of you must have read and must be consuming a gluten-free diet. Most of the wheat products have a protein substance called as gluten, and our body has some kind of an allergy to gluten. So they give a typical history that when I eat wheat products, I develop diarrhea. So this has to be kept in mind to see if there's any specific food which produces diarrhea. Then we have a peculiar issue amongst teenagers. They keep coming to us with diarrhea. So parents are worried. Explosive diarrhea. Diarrhea in their panties, diarrhea in school, diarrhea at home. And then it's so difficult to get this history that they have previous night taken 10, 12 tablets of laxatives, laxative abuse. And they come to us with diarrhea. And we wrongly label them as irritable bowel syndrome and give some symptom treatment, which can be counterproductive. So in other words, we have to go into the psychological aspects of the patient before we label them as irritable bowel syndrome. Then there's a peculiar problem. Like one of my patients said, "Doctor, you talk to us on so many things, but have you ever realized the problems which I have when I sit in the commode? The damn thing doesn't come out. For me, the day depends on how I perform on the commode. I go mad. I go to the extremes. And finally, I have to put my finger and evacuate, finger digital evacuation. This is a very sensitive issue, which most of us fail to ask our own children. And they come with bleeding. Bleeding investigated from heaven to earth without going into the simple issue, are you taking out your fecal matter with the finger? That nails will go and damage the rectum and produce an ulcer. We call it a solitary rectal ulcer. They come with bleed. And this simple history is never taken, and all kinds of investigations go on. Then we have an elderly patients who are not ambulatory, who are bedridden. Some of the patients with various other illnesses are not able to go and get up into the bathroom, and they come with diarrhea. Parents bring, children bring them. Doctor, we are fed up. He's passing motion in the blood, in the bed. Every time we have to clean it. It's explosive. Most of the doctors, we don't like to see a patient's bottom. At the same time, we don't like to put our finger into the rectum because of various stigmata, basically laziness, I would call. The classic example, we call it as a spurious diarrhea, where you have a loaded stool sitting in the rectum, which is not coming out. He's not in a position to tell you, and the fluid trickles out along the sides and comes as an explosive diarrhea. A simple digital examination would have told me that his rectum is loaded with stool. This is what we call it as a spurious diarrhea. Again, I tell you all this so that your own relatives, your own friends, or your own elders can have this problem. So I thought all of you should have this basic knowledge before I talk about the diet. As you can make out that already I've told you so many things about the diet. I don't have to be very specific when I give you this clinical scenario. Then we have some patients coming to us saying, "Doctor, I'm passing oil in the motion. I can see a lot of oil drops." And fortunately, in West, you all use tissue papers, whereas in India, we use our left hand. The typical history is my finger is smeared with oil and I'm very difficult to clean my hands. And when I flush, it is not going. It's just floating and it is foul smelling. And last night, my friend made me to eat biryani and today I have passed more oil. So this is typical of what we have, call it as a pancreatic diarrhea, where you all know that pancreas produces insulin to control your blood sugar, and it also produces various pancreatic enzymes which help in digestion. And one of the pancreatic enzyme is responsible for digestion of your fat. So when you have a deficiency, they come with diarrhea. What we call it as pancreatic diarrhea. And lastly, most important is a lot of us have diabetes, thyroid problem. Don't forget this group. Your parents, your relatives, diabetes, badly controlled, they have diarrhea. All kinds of grandmother treatment goes on without simply telling them, go back, control your diabetes, you'll be all right. Doctors give so many pharmaceutical drugs which are lured to them by various pharmaceutical companies without going into this basic history. Diabetic diarrhea, poorly controlled diabetes can produce diarrhea. You have a thyroid problem, over-functioning thyroid, it can produce diarrhea. So these are some of the clinical scenario which we face in patients who come with irritable bowel syndrome. And that's why in my introductory portion, I said it's a diagnosis of exclusion. You eliminate so many diseases before you label them as irritable bowel syndrome. Now, having labeled them as irritable bowel syndrome, we do some blood tests, we do some stool tests, we do some hormonal tests, and as gastroenterologists, we also do an endoscopy from the mouth, the endoscopy from the anal canal, what we call it as a colonoscopy. And if required, we will also look into the small intestine by using a small intestinal endoscope. That's to rule out any causes there, because most of the time, an irritable bowel syndrome cannot be diagnosed without an endoscope. We do an endoscope and then label them as, look, all your tests are normal, your endoscope is normal. Now we are fully convinced that it is irritable bowel syndrome. Now, having understood what is irritable bowel syndrome, what all can mimic like irritable bowel syndrome, what all you can miss if you have no knowledge about them, then we come to the basics of today's talk. What do we do when we have a patient? This is a sensitive stomach. How do we manage? Most of us are vegetarians and non-vegetarians. Honestly speaking, a Brahmin diet, which is more applicable to India, which I always tell, become a Brahmin, is the most ideal diet. I may be from East Calcutta, I may be from West Maharashtra, or I may be from Kashmir. But I always tell my patients, try to become a good South Indian Brahmin and follow a Brahmin diet, because that is good for the intestines, good for the kidneys, good for the heart. Basically, it is a low carbohydrate, a balanced protein, minimum oil and fat diet, containing a lot of salad, vegetables, and fruits. Now, what do we do with pain? Patients with predominant pain. We tell them to follow a diet which is friendly to them. I tell them, you eat food which suits you. Don't go by what I say. Is dal rice suiting you? Take it. The spices, masalas, fats produce spasm, avoid it. And very simple antispasmodic drugs, pain-killing tablets, if required on an SOS basis. We don't recommend for them to take 3 times in a day, 4 times in a day. It is a simple SOS medicine can sort out this. Most of these patients also have day-to-day issues in their lifestyle habits. We try and spend some time to see what is the lifestyle of this person. Whether he's taking adequate sleep, he's got adequate rest and relaxation, is he doing any kind of body exercise? Because all these things matter in controlling the spasmodic pain of the irritable bowel syndrome. Then we have patients with constipation. What is constipation? Passing hard, lumpy stool is called constipation. It can be once in a day, it can be twice a week, or it can be once a week. Basically, the fecal matter has no ingredients in it, no fiber in it, the moisture is low, and they are passing hard motion. It's very difficult for a person to pass hard motion. How do we sort out constipation? We tell them to increase the fiber in the diet. Doctor, what is fiber? Well, I have to tell them that the fiber is something which you cannot digest, which is present in a very rich amount in vegetables and fruits and in cereals and materials like bran, wheat. So please take them. Doctor, can I take a fruit? Does it have a fiber? Yes. Fiber is soluble fiber, insoluble fiber. What you have in wheat, bread, they are all insoluble fiber. Whereas what you have in fruits is a soluble fiber. So we tell patients with predominant constipation to have a lot of salad, vegetables and fruits and try and increase the fiber intake. Well, not all fiber is gastric friendly. Some fiber may be friendly to a patient, some fiber may not be friendly to the patient. You have to explain to them, consume a fiber which is friendly to you. So this is as far as constipation is concerned. Diarrhea. I told you that before we label them as IBS with diarrhea, we have to make sure that we rule out anything specific which produces diarrhea. For example, milk. Some foods produce diarrhea. You have to eliminate. Alcohol can produce diarrhea, which is a common problem. Milk can produce diarrhea. Certain cereals can produce diarrhea. Doctor, when I eat carrot, I see carrot coming out. When I eat lady's finger, I see the lady's finger seeds coming out. I'm worried tomato skin is coming out. Well, many of us are not aware. Why are we passing this? A lot of patients are worried, am I having malabsorption? The answer is very simple. We tell them, look, in mammals, there's an organ called as an appendix, which is there to digest this type of vegetables. But in the evolution, we became more and more meat-eating animals. So this organ, which was 6 feet in length, has become a size of a finger. What we call it as appendix. So we don't have an organ to digest the cellulose matters. So obviously when we eat more, they come out like that. This is a big worry to most of our patients who come to me. Doctor, I'm passing lady's finger. I'm extremely worried. I've lost my digestive capacity. So managing diarrhea depends basically to go into the detail and see what produces diarrhea. One of the major reasons of diarrhea is anxiety. You're getting into the train, 1 hour before train, you're passing 3 motions. When you're going for the exam, there's a Viva OC at 10 o'clock, by 9 you're down with 4 diarrheas. So I have to go into the details as to what produces diarrhea in irritable bowel syndrome. And as I stressed, a diarrhea in irritable bowel syndrome is over before noon. Afternoon, diarrhea is not there. But if a patient comes to me and says, doctor, in the night I'm getting 4 times to pass motion, this is not irritable bowel syndrome. It's a pathological diarrhea. There is a reason why he's having diarrhea. One has to be careful. This is another red flag sign. 3 things we are careful in our practice. Any blood in the motion? Are you getting up in the night to pass motion? And have you lost weight? If these 3 things happen, this is not irritable bowel syndrome. I have to go into the details and see, are we dealing with some kind of a serious issue like tuberculosis or cancer of the intestine? These days, a lot of questions are asked about the dairy products. Well, dairy products are friendly to human beings, but it all depends on your digestive capacity. Dairy products can be milk, cheese, butter, and various other things. So if you are able to digest without diarrhea, go ahead and eat. You want to have a dairy product with less cholesterol, go ahead and eat. Or if your doctor recommends that you have no cholesterol issue, please have whatever type of milk product which suits you. But definitely, if milk products produce diarrhea, gas, bloating, which is part of the irritable bowel syndrome, then you have to see what milk product produced. And most of you will be surprised if I ask the difference between milk and curd. Half of my patients are not aware of it. Milk is an undigested milk. It has no bacteria. Whereas the same milk, if you make it into curds, it has millions and millions of probiotics. That's why grandmothers, when we were young, would insist and tell my mother, at least give him a tiffin containing curd rice, let him go and eat in the school. Because she knew that I would have more probiotics during lunchtime and it will help in my digestion. And I'm surprised most of our patients are ignorant of this issue. Doctor, I am told that curd produces cold. It's not good to have curds in the night. It's wrong. Curd is a God-given probiotic. Today, pharmaceutical companies are minting money. They've all been kicked out from developed countries. They're all landing in developing countries. And every prescription of a doctor in a developing country, especially India, has a probiotic. Unfortunately, I always tell them, please stop this. You're spending 180 rupees per day because 1 tablet 3 times. Go back, prepare curds at home. And doctor, why home curds? Why not a packet curd? Very interesting. The strains which are produced in a domestic curd is missing in a commercial curd because they add some preservatives. So, doctor, how do we prepare curd at home? Very difficult. I cannot tell you how to prepare curd at home. So insist on this basic formula of having curd. Can I have curd at breakfast time? Why not? Punjabis have a big glass of lassi in the morning. It has got a scientific meaning. They are healthy, muscular, well-built because of this habit. Doctor, this is a beautiful probiotic. I like the color of this capsule. Sometimes to make my stress less, I crack some jokes. Can you tell me what it contains? Doctor, probiotics. Can you tell me where is it manufactured from? Doctor, I don't know, but the capsule looks very colorful. I like the color. So I tell them quietly that it is manufactured from your own shit. They have taken that shit and grown in a laboratory and put colorful capsules and marketing in a country like India, 80 rupees per capsule. You want to take it from tomorrow, take it. This is the background of a probiotic or a prebiotic in a capsule. Don't go behind. Sprouted cereals, homemade curds, grandma curds is an excellent mode of improving your gut. This is as far as dairy products are concerned. A lot of people ask me, doctor, what is FODMAP? I'm sure some of you might have heard and then you must have read in newspapers and magazines. It's very interesting. A diet we recommend is what is called as a low FODMAP diet. That means a diet which ferments less. F is for low fermentable. It can be an oligosaccharide, disaccharide, or a monosaccharide. All this diet must be less fermentable. If it is fermented less bloating, less gas formation. The other problem with most of us have is, doctor, I have a gas problem. Where is the gas? Doctor, either it's coming from the top or from the bottom. What is your problem if there is a gas coming out? No, doctor, it's very embarrassing. I tell them, when you came out of your mother, a factory called as tummy started. A factory has raw materials going in, waste materials has to come out. The waste material has to come out from the top or from the bottom. So gas is one of the waste material. Let it come out. Why are you worried? Doctor, it's very smelly. So I asked them a general knowledge question. Why is it smelly? Because you have not passed motions. So the stool has putrefied there and you are passing a smelly motion. Try and evacuate that stool, no? Or previous night you have eaten vegetables like bean seeds, rajma, channa, kabuli channa, and we have a famous thing in South India called as avrekai. I don't know how many of you have eaten avrekai. And it's available from October to February, March. A very tasty cereal, and it produces a tremendous foul-smelling gas. So when a patient gives a history of belching or passing foul color smelling gas, we have to go into the history and see what really produced. And I can assure you, 9 out of 10 people have not passed motion. They have come to the office or school or college and they are releasing all the putrefied gas. So this is as far as the gas is concerned. So to summarize, irritable bowel syndrome is a diagnosis of exclusion. The best way to manage irritable bowel syndrome, whether it is pain or diarrhea or constipation, is to modify the diet and also modify one's lifestyle. Again, we go back to what our ancestor taught: sleep early, get up early, do some body exercise, eat like a king, have breakfast like a king, and have dinner like a beggar, and an early dinner, which we don't. We are doing all the opposite. Have a heavy dinner, have a late night, and go to sleep. So all your food is jammed inside, and next day you're miserable and making others' life miserable. So lifestyle modification is very important. When it comes to diet, in brief, let us learn what is called as an elimination diet. You keep eliminating one by one, you will get an answer. It's called as an elimination diet. Some of our patients are benefited if they reduce gluten products. They may not be having celiac disease, but they respond well if they reduce things like chapati, which has gluten. Try and do that, you may succeed. It's universal from the ancestral days. The diet should have a low-fat, low-oil diet. In 1976 and 77, when I was in the submarine as a doctor, I was surprised why they were giving boiled diet. Lunchtime, only boiled vegetables and boiled cereals. And I used to get fed up and angry with my cook. But now, having become a gastroenterologist, I realized that the Britishers were very intelligent. They introduced this on board ships and submarines to reduce our bowel problems when we are at sea. And when I ate the boiled diet, I never had any problems. I really recollect those 6-7 months of my submarine career. So your children must be educated to have mostly a boiled diet. So this is in brief about irritable bowel. This is in brief about diet and lifestyle modification. This has to be practiced with immense patience, not only with immense patience, but consistency and dedication. I'm sure if you follow this, you will have a healthy, happy, balanced life. So this is in brief about irritable bowel syndrome and the diet and the various clinical scenarios which we come across before we telescope saying so-and-so is irritable bowel syndrome. And again, we try to fit them. Is it constipation group, diarrhea group, or pain group, or a combination, and see in what way we can help the patient. So I have finished with my talk. If there are any questions, I'll be happy to answer.
Praveenji,
Any questions?
Hi, doctor. Good morning. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Yeah. I want to ask a question about a noise. Lot of noises are making in the stomach. So, what is the reason behind that? I mean, it's that I heard from my kids and all. So, you know, sometimes they can, even I can hear noises from their stomach. Is it something related with the food, or is there anything? after
See,
the 20 years.
approximately from the mouth to the anus, if you stretch it, it's about 40 feet. It's a 40 feet of cycle tube sitting inside your stomach. For them, I always tell them they have to be put in a swimming pool for them to play. To be healthy, they should be put in a swimming pool. So they keep moving like a snake in a wavy pattern, what we call it as peristaltic movements. But if you subject them to some kind of an irritation in the form of a food which has irritated them, your intestines will move faster. Or if a child is worried about next day's assignment, as a father, if you are lying next to the child, you will hear gurgling noise. Or lovingly, you have given a lot of milk in the evening or in the night. They produce increased peristalsis. Very rarely we can have diseases which produce increased peristalsis, but I can assure you 9 out of 10 times this type of noise is because of one's own issues. And the best thing you can tell them is to go to the bathroom, try and evacuate your bowel, you will feel better. Or without the knowledge of the child, try and eliminate that diet in the dinner time so the noisy thing disappears. This is what is called as boring me. Normally, all of us are sitting. Our intestines are active, they are moving, but we don't hear the sound. But if one hears the news, we medically call it as boring me.
Thank you, Doctor.
Doctor, regarding the same thing, what Mr. Shibu was saying. Now, it's not only with the children. I've also found out that sometimes when, sometimes it's not for you to go and to excrete your whatever you have. But what I'm saying is, even when you feel hungry, sometimes you're feeling hungry and you may be late on that day to eat your food. And sometimes you can feel that your stomach is making sounds and the other person can hear your stomach making sounds. So what's that?
I totally agree with you. It's crying for food.
Oh, okay.
So that's the way body is creating an alarm to make you aware that the levels of blood glucose is dropping.
Okay.
It's a kind of an auto alarm that it's telling you that it's high time you had something so that you don't get into trouble.
Okay. And then you also said, you have also mentioned some about your diets and you said about what is friendly to you. How do we distinguish which is friendly to us? Because, you know, there's so much products in the market, there's so much product all over the place, and we are confused with, as you said, what to take and what not to take. And people in the market with so many commodities, oh, this is good, organic. Now, I would also like to say something. I would like you to speak on that too. So one is the friendly one, what is friendly, good in, and secondly, you see something in the market, in the store, you say organic milk, organic curd, organic vegetables. What do you mean by all that? Or is that people making money just using organic, or is it to have that organic? So can you comment on that?
A very good question. What is friendly to you is not friendly to me. So that's why I said you have to practice what is called as elimination diet. You start eliminating few things. For example, 60% of the food which is prepared by my wife, I don't eat. She gets very angry. So I tell her, are you eating or am I eating? With due respect to every community, next time quietly go and sit in a Muslim community reception. I'm not saying anything bad about that. As a gastroenterologist, I'm entitled to comment. Everything is going in like a concrete machine. All kinds of food is going, whether it's a child, a man, or a woman, common plate, common dish. That's bad. Mutton, fish, egg, salad, biryani, everything is going. That's bad. This is where you have to use your common sense and do elimination. That's one. Organic. Very simple, self-explanatory. Today, what is happening in the agricultural fields? I have a small land in a village and I live in the heart of Bangalore. The brinjal which I grow in my vegetable garden at home is this size. The brinjal which I am growing in my farm is this size. Amazing, but this I have experienced in the last 8 months because I'm actively growing some vegetables in the village and I bring it home. This is called as an organic vegetable because that vegetable has never been exposed to chemicals, artificial manures. The milk which I drink in the village is not a cow milk which I have in the city. It is a cow milk which my cow gives me after consuming grass and so many other things in the field. The egg which I consume in my village, there's so much of difference between an egg which my village hen gives and a poultry hen gives. This is called as organicity. And there's a genuinity. If somebody is selling a organic product, look into the labels. Where is it produced? What are the ingredients? And if it has got a true background, believe it. It has got organic.
So when you say milk, when you say for a milk, when you say grass-fed milk, this is what we see in the stores when we go to buy, and you say cow-fed grass and grass-fed milk and all that. So you mean to say, see, as you said, you have a village and you have a land, all that is fine. But we in this country, in Canada and something like that, it's very difficult to process because of the climatical conditions, because of the temperatures which you have, all those things. So we get what the products which are coming from there. So you saying is that when you see organic one, so how sure can I be that organic, which, see, I can understand from your perspective that you have a place of land and you have a piece of land, so you know the things are coming from there. But how can I be sure that the products which are coming and displayed in the market over there are truly coming from there? Or maybe, due to the business tragedy and to make some money, people use everything as organic. How do I distinguish that?
I respect most of your countries because they don't lie. They maintain their standards. Unlike developing countries in India, I have to believe only my right hand and left hand. Whereas you have various controlling agencies which will look into the quality. Because of that, if you go into the background and if you have a note from a reputed industry that it is coming from the organic sources, you have no other choice except to believe.
No, but what you're saying, what I wanted to say is what you said is truth, not to the full percentage of it, because the reason is politics is politics, business is business. You know everything what happens.
For example, the cow milk which you said, if you are getting a literature that this milk was produced from cow, which basically was fed with country grass, there's an organic element. But if you have a dairy cow which has eaten only marketing food, it may not be organic.
So you can fully trust what is there being displayed. Is that what you're trying to say?
Quality, the company which manufactures, and what are the processes through which it has gone for standardization.
Nowadays, what happened is even the vegetables are being injected to get that, that component and that flowery thing. So many things are happening. You yourself know, even in the developing countries or here, suddenly a chicken, even if you have a chicken, for example, the chicken is also being given injected to suddenly become big, and then you get that fresh.
The question is it permitted in a country like yours? Is it being encouraged in a country like yours? They have stringent rules. You are imprisoned overnight. But here nothing happens. Nothing happens. So I believe in better standards in your country than ours.
No doubt about that. But at the
A
same time,
lot of patients come and ask me, doctor, why are you not fond of giving injections? I want an injection. I said, no, please don't come to me. I don't give. He said, can I know the reason? I don't know where the needle is coming from. I don't know where is the syringe coming from. I do not know from where the product is coming from, and it is directly going into your system. Sorry, I don't want. Same thing holds in good in examples which you are giving. You have to believe the system. You have to believe the screening process, through what screening process they have come into the market, and then assess the situation.
thank you, doctor. And you also said something about the curd. Now, there are so much in the market what we call the Greek yogurt, a probiotic yogurt. What is your comment on that?
Well, I strongly recommend don't go behind them. Prepare your own curd at home. Because any curd which comes into the market has to survive for 3 days, 5 days, a week, or 10 days. How is it surviving? Because of chemical preservatives. It cannot survive. Your homemade curd cannot survive outside more than 3 days. It becomes sour and it becomes unpalatable because it doesn't have preservatives. What stops you from making a curd at home? How much time it takes? So I recommend, please have homemade curds.
No, I do agree for the tropical countries like in India and all that, but here it becomes very difficult to prepare. The reason is your temperature drops to minus, you know what I'm trying to say.
Even in India, I agree with you, in winter it's difficult to prepare curds. So you have to go to a commercial product which is near to your expectation.
Okay, I got it, what I said. And then, doctor, I also wanted to ask you, you said a lifestyle modification. You said for everybody should have a lifestyle modification. Do you have any chart or anything like that to show to all of us so that, I mean, I know each one's lifestyle is different, but at least a common one, something which is there where most of them can follow it in an easier way, which can help them. Do you have anything like that to give it to us?
I'll put it in a very interesting way. My grandfather died at the age of 110 years. At 3 o'clock he will get up. He will do some prayers. He will do some yoga. He will have huge glasses of ragi malt. Nothing in between except afternoon, a good meal containing ragi and cereals. Before sunset, he has had his dinner. He has had a gap of 4 hours before he went to the bed by 9 p.m. And he was up at 3 a.m. Very difficult for any one of us to follow. So lifestyle modification need not be bound by some books. If you can use your common sense, human body wants rest, recreation. You need 6 to 8 hours of sleep. How many of us are having sleep? We are having late night meal, a heavy dinner, in a hurry-burry eating some fruit or some cornflakes and rushing off to the office. So we are going in an opposite direction. And some over-the-counter meal at office time. So we are paying penalty for all this anti-nature loss. That's the answer to it.
Very beautifully said, doctor. Very beautifully said. I do agree what you're saying. And what you're saying is, now I wanted to also tell you that it's not only the food, because all this while what you spoke, all this while you were talking about food and food. But don't you think the stress can also lead to all these irritable bowel syndrome or an ulcer colitis? It can also lead up to that, correct?
That is the bottom line of today's problem. That is the bottom line of today's problem.
Stress.
Stress. You look at the 4-year-old child who is going to a KG school. So much stress because that child has to catch 7 o'clock bus in India. Mother is not allowing to sit peacefully in the commode. How much time you are taking to pass motion? And father is trying to put the uniform and mother is trying to shove something in the spoon. This is the state of stress in India. When you were young, I was young, school was there at 9 a.m., 10 a.m. I don't think I was stressed to go to the school. Everything went on automatically, got up at 7, went to the toilet, mother's breakfast, have a bath, go. But where is that today? And when you come back, whether you're going to the office or the school, how much time you spend going for a game or a walk? You're back late in the evening, you're busy for the next day or preparing the household chore and watching some TV and mobile, laptop, and that's the end of your day. My mother had so much time to sit with my father and feed him betel nut for an hour, chit-chatting the day-to-day activities. How many times my wife has done in the last 43 years? How many times I have done? Why blame her? So this is the basic thing which we have to do.
So you mean to say the modern technology, like the WhatsApp and all this TV or whatever, the WhatsApp is the one which is major killing you these days. Don't you agree with that?
In my opinion, as parents and as elders, we have to make a law. None of these things should be used after 7 p.m. at home.
Including B.
Only when we do, others will follow. All your modern techniques is in the office or while probably going in the car or in your metro, but nothing at home. Total ban.
Without WhatsApp, Modi would never have been power.
So my husband wanted to comment on that, saying that without WhatsApp, Modi will not be in power.
I agree with you, but if this can be practiced at our level in every home, a lot of homes will improve.
And then, doctor, I also wanted to know, so you're from Bangalore, is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. Which part of Bangalore, doctor?
I am in Indira Nagar, northeast of Bangalore.
Northeast of Bangalore. Because I'm also from Bangalore, basically born, brought up in Bangalore.
Where do you stay?
I'm near Nandidurg Road.
Yeah, very near to our house. But Nandidurg was owned by my great grandfather many years back, and he used to have a horse farm there, about 6 acres. Whatever Nandidurg was my great grandfather's property.
Oh, okay. Good. I studied from Mount Carmel and St. Joseph's Arts and Science in residency.
My house was right opposite to Mount Carmel College.
Oh.
So we used to look at you all in binoculars in 1970.
I wasn't there in the college at that time. I was somewhere
My
in.
house was right opposite.
Oh.
Nuns used to be very angry with us.
At that time, I wasn't in college. I was in school.
That's in 1968,
But it
65,
was
70.
Doctor, it was a very, very valuable information, especially for the people. I really agree, especially for the people in Canada too, because here is time. Time is an essence, because we don't have time. We have to take appointments when we have to go to somebody else's house, which is not in India. See, there are.
No, you'll be surprised. My neighbor passed away at 4 o'clock in the evening. I'm not gone because I don't have an appointment. Things have changed in India. He died 4 o'clock today. For me, I have not got an appointment to see the family. Things have changed.
Yes.
It is as bad as what you have in your country.
We don't even have that system here, because if somebody dies, it goes straight to the funeral home. They don't keep the
See,
body.
today I can't go to the neighbor's house. I have to talk to them, ring them up, check with them whether I can come, and then only go. So things have changed in this country.
So, and you also started off your lecture by saying that your children had a Kerala type of food. Now,
Yes.
I've been a Malayali, I've been a Kerala, so I'm really very, very eager to know that what is that secret of what your wife has given to your children. Would you like to share that?
See, in India, people are so possessive about the mother's breast milk. Mother's breast milk is Sanjeevani for them. I am surprised at this attitude. Whereas in Kerala, you all start top feed at 2 months by giving them mashed banana. Am I right?
You're right, absolutely. Yes.
Look at the nutritive value of a mashed banana.
Mashed banana.
How many wonders are there in this world?
Banana.
Potatoes.
How many wonders are there in this world? 6 or 7, I forget. 7 wonders.
Now it's become 8.
8, yeah.
So I always feel that Kerala banana, which I ate today afternoon also,
That
is
Nendrapada.
Nendravale,
Oh, Nendrapada.
the next wonder of the world.
Clanton.
Every mother believed only in 2 things. As a top feed, give banana, nicely massage the body with pure oil and give them a hot water bath.
Yeah, I agree.
Infant mortality is at the minimum when you compare it to the entire country. And expose the child to sunlight.
I agree with that. Yes.
And where did the parboiled rice come from?
Kerala.
Oh, yeah, so
Kerala.
true. Paraboiled.
Kerala.
Kerala, yeah.
That is why most of you are still healthy.
Oh, thank you so much. Doctor, do you speak Kannada?
My mother tongue is Kannada.
Oh, okay. Third language was Kannada in Bangalore. Very nice. Very informative sessions. I mean, I leave it to others to ask questions, but thank you so much. I really was well. I enough had got all those informations, which of course we know by books, but when people say that, it makes a lot of difference. Thank you so much, doctor. So I
Thank
leave
you,
it to
madam.
others to ask questions.
Thank you, madam.
ഓക്കെ, നമ്മുടെ ഇന്നത്തെ ചോദ്യത്തിൽ ഇനി ആർക്കും ചോദിക്കാനൊന്നുമില്ലല്ലോ. സമയം ഏതാണ്ട് 12 മണിയാകുന്നു. ഡോക്ടറുടെ നമ്മൾ പറഞ്ഞ സമയത്തിൽ കൂടുതലായി. നമ്മൾ വോട്ടർ താങ്ക്സിനായിട്ട് കിടക്കാം. വോട്ടർ താങ്ക്സിനായിട്ട് സഞ്ജയ് മോഹനെ ക്ഷണിച്ചോളൂ.
Sorry, Kurinji, കേൾക്കാൻ പറ്റുന്നുണ്ടല്ലോ? Okay. All right. So I hope everyone is well and staying healthy. ഇന്നിവിടെ സമാപിച്ചിരിക്കുന്നത് 32ാമത്തെ BMS Dr.Live ആണ്. And I would like to start off with a big thanks to the doctor, to all the participants, viewers watching on Facebook Live, Zoom, YouTube, and the panel members, and also the BMS members. We all know information is available online, but to have an expert come in and talk to us face to face, answer queries, it's an opportunity that doesn't come very often. So we should all be very thankful to this rare opportunity, and make the best use of it. So to begin with, to Dr.A.C Praveen Kumar, very valuable, very helpful insights. and we would like to have this very much often. Your topics on identifying signs on to the increasing case of lactose intolerance, allergic to milk, constipation, maintaining diarrhea, irritable bowel syndrome, and all the diet solutions with homemade probiotics like curd, boiled egg, and eliminating this non-friendly items from the diet, like what is friendly for you is not friendly for me, kind of a thing. This is very helpful. And other activities like swimming, prayers, yoga, good sleeping patterns, rest and recreation, 8 hours of sleep, awesome. And other soft skills, as you mentioned, patience, dedication, consistency, all for a healthy, happy, balanced life. Now, we thank you very much for this insights. And special thanks to President Kurian Ji, without whose leadership, effort, vision, mission, this would not have been possible. And also, we're very glad to have Kurian Prakanam, our leader, president, back. And also thanks to a special guest, Sinu and Dr. Praveen Kumar. Actually, I feel very fortunate to have such an experienced team like our BMS talented team to work with, because they have stepped up exceptionally during this extraordinary troubled times. So your dedication, your passion has been very inspiring. With your intellect, social, and financial things, together we have grown far and beyond. So special appreciation to our leadership team and our members, naming a few: Ladaji, Joseph Ponesheri, Uman Joseph, Vinu Joshua, Shibu Cherian, Yogesh, Sheila Pudikedi, Jitin, Murali Panikar, Davis Fernandez, and all our sponsors and social media support. Again, thanks to all the community members and all the sports club members for your participation support as well. Everyone, including our well-wishers and sponsors, has been very generous with our help, with their help, inspiration, and encouragement. So we want this continued support, collaboration, and our feedback to reach further milestones. And again, thanks for all your comments and engagement on our social media, YouTube, Facebook, and Zoom. With this, I would like to conclude today's Dr.Live session. So again, I appreciate everyone's time, effort. You guys have a good and a safe weekend. Thank you very much.
Thank you all.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone. Namaskara.
Thank you.
Thank you, doctor.
Thank you.
Thank you, doctor.
Namaskaram.